Alright guys, Skrapz here, back again today, and today I want to talk about the Splyce roster. Yesterday we talked about Team Envious, Gunless going on to that team now on loan till the rest of the season, and another loan deal, of course, is Splyce. Huke has gone to Splyce from Team Envious, so the Team Envy change I was not particularly sold on so far. I think that the roster change may not be to their, well, it should be to their benefit on paper. They should at least be winning maps, but, you know, whether they'll be a top team, a contender to 100 Thieves who are hot off the victories at London, and then at Anaheim is really how we have to compare a lot of these top teams to. I think, and at least I hope, that Splyce can be a contender to 100 Thieves, at least in the next couple of events. The way the rest of the season is going to go, from starting tomorrow as you're watching this, Pro League action for the next 2 weeks, last 2 weeks of the Pro League, finalising the orders of each division. And then, of course, it goes on to Miami in about a month's time, 19th, I think, to the 21st, which is the CWL Finals, of course. And then a month after that, 16th to the 18th of August, is Champs in Los Angeles once again. So Miami, thankfully, will not be too bad for us fellas in Europe and further east. But yes, LA's not going to be so good. Unless I manage to go to Champs, but I don't see that likely. I think once in a year is already good enough to go to Anaheim last weekend. So, fantastic. Let's get on with this team Splyce, because these are big changes. There's only one change, but there's a lot of things to talk about right here, and a lot of potential storylines for this team. People have been talking about Huke for a while, and he finally gets an opportunity on a team which, in my opinion, could be championship contending. We'll have to see how it goes down the line. Of course, there's a lot of very good teams right now, but in terms of the teams that did make changes in Rostermania, Splyce are arguably top of that list. So they've done a good job to get Huke, let's put it that way. So this was their announcement that they made a couple of days ago here. We're proud to announce that Huke will be joining our Call of Duty team for the remainder of the 2019 CoD World League season. Hashtag on the hunt. So Kyler Garlands, it's time to dig deep and win championships. Welcome Huke. So the changes for Nolson, they switched out accuracy a few weeks ago after, they weren't really sure what was going on. They thought that maybe Aqua would be a better main assault rifle, and then they got in Nolson as their substitute. They went 2-1 in the league that week. They had some pretty decent results. Nolson played quite well on the Maux, but now, Loony was kind of forced to use an SMG at times that not really his perfect role, let's put it that way. So, they've got Huke. You can't turn down this kind of talent if he was looking for a change, looking to reunite with Temp, which is a big deal, which we will have a look at in a second. They've played with Temp. He's played with Temp back in the past in Advanced Warfare, had some success there. Also at the start of the World War II season, which we'll have a look into, that didn't turn out so well. So maybe it'll be third time lucky here for Huke and Temp on the same team. Now they're on Splyce, and I think the team composition makes a lot of sense. So let's dive into it. So this is the squad up here at the top. Now Evil Geniuses has not yet been finalised, but I thought I'd put the other rosters on screen as well, so you can have a little bit of confirmation and have some things to look at while I'm chatting about this team. So, firstly, in terms of roles, it seems to make a lot of sense, and I really like it because, as I said in yesterday's Gunless video, from what I've heard, SMGs will be getting something of a buff over the coming weeks. Now, apparently something around 9th of July, something like that before Miami. I don't know if this will be severe, let's put it that way. It's supposedly going to be a tweak, something not too dramatic. But at the same time, it is going to be a change. SMGs will be improved to some degree. And that's why I made a bold call on Twitter yesterday that Splyce are going to win champs. Now, obviously my brain says that 100 Thieves should win champs. They're the best team in the game right now. But in terms of a team that I can see competing with them, if this SMG buff comes into play, Splyce have to be that team. Now, of course, we've got OpTic, we've got Gen.G, we've got eUnited, we've got FaZe. Those are also definitely competitive teams. But right now, on paper at least, I'm putting Splyce right up there. So, okay, Nolson's out, Huke's in the team. Has experience playing with these guys before. The thing is with Loony as a player, as he is incredibly good at getting mileage out of his players. If you've got a good player, he's going to make him look excellent. If you've got an average player, he's going to make him look damn good on the whole. And he's also, especially I think in this game, an excellent individual player. We saw him clutch that 1v5 just in Anaheim this weekend, which was incredible. I think he's, on the whole this year, been very, very good. Now, he will be using, likely, a Maddox on this team alongside Temp. Because yes, Temp on this team this year has been using an SMG a lot of the time and has been doing very, very well with it, of course, alongside there with Jerd. Now, Temp is going to be able to use the Maddox full time, which is, in my opinion, a scary sight for anyone else in the Pro League. He has been frying with it when he's had the opportunity to use it, and now you've got Jerd and Huke on your SMGs, Temp and Loony on your Maddoxes, and Aqua as your main ICR. So there really isn't a lot of weak links here, let's put it that way. And Loony tends to be the type of player where, you know, he's teamed with a lot of different players. Down the line, his teams don't maybe stand the test of time. Like after 6 months, the team usually, you know, cohesion starts to break down. Supposedly, you know, when he was teaming with Methods, that wasn't even too many months into World War II. They won the event at Atlanta. And then supposedly Loony was trying to scapegoat Methods a little bit, get him off the team. And okay, maybe fair enough. But there's only 2 months till champs. This team only has to last for 2 months, and it won't last any longer than that anyway, because Huke will be going back to Envy to play with Dallas, whatever it will be next season. But for now, Splyce have the opportunity of a lifetime. Huke clearly wanted to come onto this team. Hastro allowed it. You can say, well, why the hell did Envy let Huke go? Which, okay, fair enough. But I guess Hastro was like, you know, we've kept Huke stuck down to this contract for years. He hasn't had any success really on Envy. We want to keep him, of course. We're not going to get rid of him that easily. But if you want to spend a couple of months on a different team and try and win a championship, then all the best of luck to you, and we'll get gunless in exchange kind of thing. So, yeah, very cool. And yes, he is going to be on Splyce. This is their chance, I think, to really do something here. This team now, they've made 2 grand finals already this year. With accuracy, they made the grand finals at Vegas. They made the grand finals at Fort Worth, where they lost to OpTic and Luminosity respectively. Now you've got Huke in the team. As the game moves to the end of the year, we tend to see it being played at a faster pace. Haven't seen that so much lately when you look at the controls. We're seeing a lot of ICRs pulled out, but as I say, with the thermal ICR being gentleman's agreemented, with the SMGs potentially getting a bit of a buff, we will probably see a move towards faster paced gameplay once again in every single mode. And Huke and Jerd are your ideal 1 and 2 for that. Huke has been on Envy this year being the entry SMG. Now you can say the entry SMG as a role doesn't really exist so much, as Slasher was talking about on Crowder Hours. You know, everyone kind of has to do their bit when they get to ring on frequency first. If they're the first man there, they're the first man to go. You know, fair enough, which is true. But most of the time, your entry SMG is the man in first. And Huke has been doing that for Envy and putting up fantastic numbers all year. Now, look, it has to be said, they have not had good results as a team. Also to mention, Huke, this flag is a Saudi Arabian flag, that's where he was born, but he is a national of the Netherlands. So if any of you guys are from the Netherlands, then congratulations, I guess. Just thought that you guys would find that an interesting little bit of trivia. But it has to be said that Envy have not been good. And, well, whether you put some of the blame to that on Huke is up to you. It's difficult to argue otherwise. Both the teams now, even since the change, bringing in Decimate and Pharaoh, were not functional teams. They didn't do particularly well at all. They did come top 4 at London, but outside of that, they haven't had too much success. Now, to what degree you're going to blame that on Huke, it's tough to say, and it's tough to really argue a case either way. Because yes, Huke has not won a championship in Call of Duty. I think a lot of people would say, and probably rightfully so, if this team doesn't have much success, we're probably going to have to be asking some questions about Huke. I think that on Envy, you're probably fair enough in saying that, you know, the team around him is just not great. He was putting up figures, they weren't really getting anything done. Probably the fault on the rest of his team, especially in a 5v5 scenario. Pretty difficult as a lone man to win a championship on your own, you know. Maybe you could do that to a lesser degree, or to a more significant degree, I guess, in 4v4. So, look, that's another storyline to bear in mind with this team. If this team doesn't do that well, questions are going to have to be asked. So, let's have a look at it in more detail and in terms of the roles. If it does go 2 SMGs, this team could be deadly. They've got a fantastic SMG duo. Jerd hopefully will still be on the Ruin. He's pretty good with the Slam. He's also pretty good with the Grapple. And what we've seen from Huke with the Slam has not been so good. I don't think he's the best Slam player by any means, often just getting 1 kill with it. So I don't think he's the best Slam player. Makes sense to me to have Jerd on the Slam. Maybe just put Huke on Crash. And then Huke's numbers won't be incredible because he's using Crash, not a proper specialist or not an actual weapon happen, but at the same time, if he's doing a lot of that work, because Jerd is going to be the first man in, and Huke now is going to be able to be like that second SMG, or that second man in kind of thing, and he should have, in theory, a better timer thing. So he could be putting up even bigger numbers than he was on Team Envious. So that SMG duo, in my opinion, is like filthy. Them running at you is such a scary sight. Of course, we've heard about Jerd's movement. Hasn't been so good this latter half of the year, but at the start of the year it was filthy. Maybe with Huke alongside him, better pacing, they can figure that out a little bit better. And then you go on to the Maux duo. Temp has been one of the best players this year. No questions about that. He's been filthy, topping the damage charts pretty much all year. So he's obviously someone you want on your team. And you've got Loony alongside him, who is definitely capable of putting up 1.1s. If there's anywhere where the statistics are going to suffer on this team, probably going to be Jerd and maybe Loony to some degree. Temp's obviously going to be putting up crazy numbers, but Loony's certainly capable of putting up a 1.1. He's been really good at times this year for Splyce and for other teams in the past. So definitely deserves, in my opinion, more credit than he gets, and if he can get this team a championship, then well, he definitely deserves some credit, even though I'm sure a lot of the plaudits will be put on Temp and Huke and, well, those guys I suppose in particular. But I really think that Loony does add a lot to a team in terms of inside and outside the game. He also has a very short name, which seems to be a useful attribute on this team. Loony might be the next to be dropped unless he drops that Y, because everyone's four letters. I guess that's why they got rid of accuracy. So yes, so a very interesting team. And of course, then you've got Aqua on your ICR. Now, Aqua may not be the best ICR in the game, but I do think it fits his role, probably, it fits his playstyle better than maybe a Maux does, or at least he's probably in his best situation with an ICR in hand. If the current meta keeps up and we do have two ICRs on the map, then, this team may struggle a little bit in that aspect. Like, who's really going to be picking up the second ICR? Going to be Loony? It's going to be Temp? Which one of those is going to go for it? Because you're not seeing Huke or Jerd on ICR. We have seen Huke on a Maux a little bit on that Envy team, so maybe if it is just a 1 SMG still, even after the buff or whenever it's going to happen, then even Huke, Temp and Loony on your Mauxes could be completely filthy. We'll just have to see how it goes. Aqua, of course, there's a lot of other ICRs in the game. Right now, it's difficult to see anyone really competing with Octane, and probably Zero on recent form has been, those two have probably been the best. But yes, Aqua also very good in that role. But probably there, when you move up the team through the Loonies, through the Aquas, that's where I guess the weaknesses kind of lie in this squad. On the front end, with Jerd, Temp and Huke, that is, I guess, where it's really strong. Now, I don't think the back end in Loony and Aqua is weak by any means, but compared to something like 100 Thieves, then obviously they've got Octane and Slasher, difficult to compete with them right now. But the front end is where the real powerhouses lie on Splyce. And even Aqua, he's not a slow ICR. He doesn't sit back and wait. He's not a turret player like a guy like Octane is, or a guy like Assault, or someone like that Envy have just brought in. Aqua will do the damage, and he will be quick if he has to be. He's used a Maux in the past when accuracy was the ICR. So this team is going to be fast, incredibly fast, and it's going to be very difficult for a lot of teams to keep up with the pacing these guys are bringing to the table. And I think that really could work to their benefit here, and they've got to be a top contender for me, at least on paper. There's only 2 events, and there's probably like 6 teams, the 5 teams that didn't change in your 100 Thieves, OpTic, eUnited, Gen.G and FaZe Clan, plus Splyce, I think that are real title contenders. I don't quite see LG as title contenders, but I'll talk about those in future days. But between those 6 teams, probably any of them can actually win. 100 Thieves have got to be favourites right now, but there's only 2 events left. If Splyce don't win an event, then, it's difficult to say if it's Huke's fault or whatever blame you're going to put on them. But if they're not competitive, then questions have to be asked about how exactly this team hasn't been competitive. Let's put it that way. So just to bring this up, these are Huke and Temp's previous performances together. Back in the Advanced Warfare days, they were playing with Crowder and Slasher when they came second at UMG Washington, and then they picked up Classic and came second at the World Finals. And then on Team Envy, at the same roster reformed, didn't have much success in World War II. I think that Huke coming back from Halo was a shadow of the player he is today in the early half of the World War II season, I would say. And I don't think Temp was as good then as he is now either. So on paper, this team should be fantastic. Be really interested to hear your thoughts on it down in the comment section below, as I'm sure you will. And yeah, like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you next time.